90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, and this is Breaking the Ice yet again. I am your host, Connor Cupen, and we got our regular plethora of guests all across the board. AJ Chasan, how's it going, my man?
It's going good. Penguins, we got to make a move, but after
I hear you. So you know what? Let's try that one more time. Let's try that one more time, man.
Mike 1 is not working today, but you know what? It's all good. We moved, just like the Penguins, Ron Hextall. They weren't working for the last 55 games of the season, but nice little 3-0 stretch. What's up this week? Getting back hot, make a couple moves. You know what? We might be rescinding our take from last week.
They were inspired by you.
They were.
They heard it. They listened to you. They took it to heart.
You know what I think it is? It's called the Penguins jinx.
Yeah.
Every time I talk bad about them, they go on a hot streak. And every time, when they finally reel me back in, it doesn't work out.
If you get dissed on Breaking the Ice, you take it to heart. All these teams take it to heart.
Exactly.
So
it's the Breaking the Ice curse.
The Breaking the Ice curse?
Yeah, it's official.
Well, we're going to keep it moving here. Daniel Amoia, Devils Report. What's going on?
Hey, I'm glad to be back. Couldn't make it last week, but very, very excited to be chatting it up with the boys. Obviously, we got a crazy deadline, not just for my Devils, but for the entire league. We've had a lot going on, so to break it all down and see what you guys think about it, I'm really excited.
All right, now Tanner Price, the Triple Plays mastermind.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Let's just say it's showtime on Broadway.
It's showtime on Broadway.
Showtime on Broadway.
Yeah, we got a ton of stuff to get.
I don't know. That's the slogan for Patrick Kane. I don't know where it came from, but
that's different from your Blue Shirts intro that you do every week.
The Blue Shirts.
There you go.
The Blue Shirts.
There you go.
Listen,
that's
man,
all I gotta say.
All that matters is we got a ton of trade deadline talk to get to. So let's get right into it, shall we? Let's start off. First trade of the week, honestly, that I know is the first one I saw, Dmitry Orlov heading to Boston. Now, boys, big trade here. Personally, for me, the best team gets even better on defense. Thoughts?
My thoughts is I love what the Capitals did. That's my first reaction. You traded aging 31-year-old defenseman who's slipping in points this year. You move him off, get a first-round pick, get a couple more assets with him, and then I'm assuming we're going to talk about it a little bit later. Then they go ahead and flip that first-round pick and get a 22-year-old defenseman who's you could even say is even better than Dmitry Orlov right now. Does this make the Bruins better? Of course it does. Of course it does. And for a team that's ready to go all in this year, it's probably like their last year of the Krejci Bergeron window, you love it. But my first reaction is, what a job by Washington. Honestly, if it wasn't for the Devils and the Rangers just going crazy, you could make an argument that Washington's having the best deadline.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good trade for all the teams. Capitals also got Craig Smith in it, who's not that terrible of a player. So they got a pretty good return back for Dmitry Orlov. I think overall good deal. Orlov just goes to the Bruins. The Bruins are the best team in hockey. There's no doubt about it this season, and they just got even better here, which is insane. They're about to get 100 points and they've played 60 games. That's insane. That's insane. We are how many games into they've played 60 games.
I think the Bruins have played 60.
They've played 60 games. They've lost 13 of them. How insane is that? Not 13 regulation losses, not 13 overtime losses, just 13 losses in general, which is insane.
So overall, I believe that Orlov trade, Dmitry Orlov, Garnet Hathaway from the Caps, Craig Smith and draft picks sent back to Washington. So great move there by Boston. What would you guys grade it? Give me a grade. Give me a nice little letter grade.
I give it an A for the Bruins.
What about for the Caps?
I'll give it A+. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A+.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the Caps an A+, and probably A for the Bruins too.
All right, next trade we got on the mark here. I see Ivan Barbashev leaving St. Louis, going to Vegas. How are we feeling about this one?
I'm not gonna destroy Ivan Barbashev right now. He's a good player. It was a good acquisition for the Golden Knights. My only issue was they were one of the 2 finalists for Timo.
Mm-hmm.
If they're willing to go after Barbashev, like the Western Conference is so wide open right now.
Yeah.
There's not other than Colorado, and like you can make the argument right now. Colorado's not even what they were last year because they're not fully healthy. Like you're sitting there, you're only you're only a point ahead, ahead of the top of the conference right now.
Yeah.
Timo, if he comes in there, that's a game changer.
It is.
It's an absolute game changer. And it's a game changer. We're going to get into it later when we get into the Timo trade. I'm sure Devils Report's going to be pretty happy about this in a little bit.
Dude, Devils
Really,
Fanatics
you
is
think?
not here. You believe Devils Fanatics is not here?
I got a
to this
message
day?
for him. He'll make his appearance on the show in a little bit.
Yeah, but it's different. though.
It's
like,
different.
It's different.
But
I think,
it's a solid move. It's an uninspiring move. What do y'all think?
I think this is the year that Vegas, this is the year that they could go for it. They could go for it. They could go for the Stanley Cup because, I mean, there's no one that's really above and beyond in the Western Conference. So if they wanted to make another run to the Stanley Cup, I think this would have been a good year, and this would have been another good year to make a big trade and swing for Timo Meier. But again, the Devils got him. I would have, if I was Vegas and I was in on team, because now I know they trade for Barbashev. There's not really anyone for them now. There's not really that big player that could make an impact on a Stanley Cup run. Yeah, they have really good players there, but Ivan Barbashev is not going to win you a Stanley Cup alone like that. So I think they could have made a better trade.
Yeah,
I really wanted them to get Timo Meier because they would have put them over the top, but of course that
the
didn't
trade
happen.
was Barbashev for Zach Dean straight up. He was their 2021 first round pick, headed back to St. Louis. Grades on this one?
I'm gonna give it a B- for Vegas because, like AJ said, it's a good move, but at the same time that allowed them to strike out on Timo Meier, and I do think to that point that because Carolina, Vegas, and New Jersey were the 3 finalists for Timo, and Carolina had already been reported out. So then Vegas trade for Barbashev, and I think that San Jose lost all their leverage because of that. So I think not just for that aspect, but for the whole league, that had a big impact because obviously San Jose didn't want to just hang on to Timo and get nothing for him, so they had to get some kind of package. But yeah, I mean, Barbashev is a good player. He's definitely going to make Vegas better. And like Tanner said, the West is very, very open right now. They have a fairly easy shot at making the Cup final. I think they could go that far, or at least the conference finals. But Timo would have been a game changer for them, so that's why they get a B-.
I think what Tanner alluded to, just to take it a little bit further, was there what's it called, like a Barbashev, solid player. How many Barbashevs were there on the market?
Yeah,
decent amount. How many Timo Meyers were there?
not a lot.
One Timo Meier. There's one with the level of player, with the level of impact that Timo Meier brings. There's one of them on the market.
I think the only player that you could compare that is even on the market would be Erik Karlsson, but you're going to have to give up so much to get him because he has years left.
And not only that,
so many years left.
And not only that, you got to take in terms of his cap hit and everything. And teams right now, they don't have. First of all, they don't have the money to take on the cap. That's number one.
Yeah.
And number two, most teams don't even have the money to eat the cap.
Yeah.
So, like
nobody got the bread.
Yeah, that was your move. That was your move to be like, you know what? Just bleep it. We're going for it.
Yeah.
We're going for it.
I agree.
We're tired of it. With our first year in franchise history, we were this close. We were so close, but we ended up losing. This is now our year to get back there because we haven't gotten back there since.
Yeah.
And it just feels that it almost feels like Vegas settled.
It does. It does.
It feels like they settled. Yeah. I don't like that. So for that, I'm gonna be a little bit harsh on him. It's just looking from a pure roster standpoint. Daniel's probably right with the B-, but just because the way that I think it resonates in that locker room, I'm gonna go to D.
A D.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like it. I really don't.
Yeah, I think they needed to. They lost Mark Stone for a long time. They needed to make that move to replace him, and they didn't. So I'm gonna give a C on this.
Even a Max Pacioretty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next one up here. So giving him a C there. Vegas, but we love Vegas downfall. Vegas downfall on this show. Devils downfall might be number one, but then Vegas downfall goes second. Would you guys agree with me? Daniel's not allowed to have an opinion.
I don't know.
I agree with you.
No,
We have officially deemed the Devils fans the bad guys of the show.
It's nice to see
and
number 86
everyone
fail.
else, yeah, number 86.
Yeah.
Can't speak his name. You're not allowed.
Yeah. He who shall not be
Right,
named.
right, Daniel. Number 86.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Say it with me. Number 86.
Number 86. Are you happy?
Yeah,
Very much.
this warms our hearts. This warms our hearts. If there were less Devils fans, they wouldn't be in this position. But just,
Yeah.
Devils fanatics over here.
There's what?
He out here.
There's what?
Making
On this show, there's what? 5 Devils fans, 2 Rangers fans, 1 Penguins
there's
fan,
at
1
least
Panthers
4
fan.
Devils fans.
Yeah. So
If not more, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't think of it off the top of my head. There's at least 4.
Myself
Yeah,
and Connor
at
were
least
the
one.
outcast fan-wise of the show. We have the Alliance out here.
Yeah.
We have the Alliance out.
We have the
to.
alliance. Even the Rangers fans, there's no beef. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
it's Devils fans versus the world when you
I
enter
really
the studio.
And the thing is, like, I don't mind Rangers fans.
Yeah.
I don't. Y'all don't bother me.
the only time
but the guy wearing the USA baseball hat over here, yeah.
Who wears a USA baseball hat to a hockey show?
It's called fashion, AJ.
You know what sport you're talking about right now?
I'm pretty sure I do. Yeah, it's breaking the ice, so I'm gonna go with a safe assumption. Say hockey.
There you go.
All
Good
right.
job, man.
Next chair we'll get into the Devils trade of the week. Timo Meier, after a month of Devils fanatics sending DMs to the Sharks GM, finally, it's happened. He's headed to, I almost said it, to San Jose. He's headed from San Jose to New Jersey. 13 players in this trade, including the draft picks, of course, as they will turn into players. So, Daniel, give me your first impression here.
So I just want to say, hold up a second.
He's trying to get this mic. We love Mike 2. Mike 2 extends extremely far, and, it has
Yeah.
problems.
So I just want to say, absolute fleece job by Tom Fitzgerald. I was very, very, very nervous in the beginning, and
I heard the exact opposite opinion just 1 hour ago from another person of this building, but keep going.
so there were initial rumors that Dawson Mercer, Simone Nemitz will be part of the trade. Luke Hughes, even some people said, and I think, like we said, with the Barbashev trade, San Jose lost virtually all of their leverage, and especially considering that Mike Greer used to be an assistant coach for the Devils, and Claude Lemieux was Timo Meier's agent. Like, all Devils ties, I think it just made too much sense, and the Devils really gave away nothing of value, and if anything, they gained value because they gave San Jose Andreas Janssen's entire contract to take on, which is not a good contract. He was our 6th best player in the AHL this year, so he wasn't even a top AHL player. He had a $4 million cap hit, and in that trade, San Jose took on the entire thing, retained half of Timo's contract as well, they did. So every single part of it just fell perfectly into the place. A trade like this was an absolute no-brainer. We didn't trade any of our top 5 prospects, and we got Timo Meier, the number 1 person on the trade market.
Now, in this deal, 13 players. Okay, so San Jose gets Fabian Zetterlund, Andreas Janssen, Shakir Mukhamadullin, and how do you
Nailed
say
that.
And Nikita, oh boy.
Nikita Ohotuk.
All right.
That's how you say it.
Connor, we were at his first National Hockey League goal against the Buffalo Sabres.
That's a
Wait,
W.
how do you say it? Ohoichuk?
Ohotuk.
Ohoichuk.
Ohotuk.
Okay, well I messed that up a couple times on the radio.
He nailed
I kept saying-
Mukhamadullin, though.
I kept saying Oichuk.
Because I've heard
Also,
you
so-
say it before, so that was exactly why. And also, their first round pick this year, second round pick next year, and a 7th.
So hold up. You want to hear from Devils fanatics himself?
Yes.
No, I'm kidding.
So we got a message from him. After making that trade for Timo, the Devils are a legit cup contender. Tanner, there's faith in New Jersey now. I could see any
get
team
called
making it from the East because they're all so great, but for the West, nobody has a chance come on Colorado come playoff time.
Wait,
Nice grammar,
why did
by
I
the
get
way.
called out for this?
I don't know, but listen, you can see the screen. I read that verbatim.
Dude,
All right.
this show would be
All right.
nothing without Devils fanatics.
Tanner just got called out for simply existing.
I love how that's the
I
takeaway.
I might have said, I might have said, I don't think the Devils are, a cup contender, but now they trade for Timo Meier, and I say, yeah, they are.
You know what it is?
Uh-huh.
The Rangers and the Devils, they're on a crash course to play.
They're on a crash course. They're on a crash.
So you know what I think it is? I think it's some mental games. I think it's some mind games that he's trying to play against you.
It is. Well,
are you going to back down, or are you going to strike back? What are you going to do? What's the next move?
You're going to trade for Patrick Kane. That's what you're going to do.
Exactly.
Oh, we'll get into that one in just a second. So, overall, what did New Jersey receive here? Timo Meier, Scott Harrington, Zach Emond, 5th-round pick, Santeri Hataka, and I believe, let's try this last name here. Timur Ibragimov. Something close.
Yeah,
that sounds about it.
Ibragimov, I think.
Ibragimov.
You might be right, though.
Tomato.
Yeah.
Nah, not tomato, man. Not with somebody's name. Never tomato. But
Potato.
Huge trade there. That's a hot take, trust me. Huge trade there. Devils improve, and Devils fanatics can go to sleep. Finally sound once and for all.
Yeah, I know you've taken Gordon Damer's class with those name pronunciations. You got to nail
100%. You have to nail him. You have to nail him. Next trade here, Lightning, Tanner Jeannot. And I saw him play his first game against the Panthers. He didn't do nothing, of course, Huge trade there. Jeannot gets traded for Cal Foote and then 5 picks. The third, 4th, and 5th from this year's draft go to Nashville, as well as their second next year, and it looks like a conditional first in 2025. Is he worth all that to you guys?
Okay, here's what I think happened. When their personnel all came together and were deciding what they wanted to trade for Tanner Jeannot, they were discussing. The GM held up his fingers. He was like, do we want to trade a first, a second, a third, or 4th, and a 5th?
And they just all that.
And then they thought they meant all of them. So they took all 5 fingers and just, when they made the trade call, that's what they said. And then they were like, wait, we didn't mean to do that, but it was too late. So it's kind of crazy that, I don't know if you guys can agree, but I think the return for Tanner Jeannot was a better return than the trade for Timo Meier.
Legitimately.
Yeah, I agree.
Legitimately. It's one guy for 6 guys.
That's
like how?
That seems like how I saw it. I was like, oh, okay. Tampa's trading for Tanner Jeannot. He's okay. How?
Yeah.
6 picks? A first-round pick we're giving up a first-round pick for Tanner Jeannot in the year 2023.
And a second, and a third, and a 4th, and a 5th.
I just want to know something. How does Tanner Jeannot go for more value than both Timo Meier and Patrick Kane?
I don't know.
How?
I don't know.
Kane I kind of get.
Kane I
because
get.
of his defensive metrics.
But that even no.
But
Kane's a 3-time Cup winner.
Well, Kane is a really weird situation.
And Kane's also a 3-time Cup winner who's still can produce offensively.
But for Timo, regardless, there's no way that
how was Tanner? How did you pay more at that point? Tampa should have been you know what? Let's just get Timo on a rental.
Yeah, he had
at this point.
Yeah, he had. Jeannot had 41 points last year. Okay, 24 goals. Okay, he's 14 points this year. 14
points.
He's 14 points.
That's like a week for the last week for Dawson Mercer. He had like 10 points,
yeah.
And that's not even like some elite player in the game. I mean, no shade to Dawson Mercer, but 14 points for the whole season to yield more of a return than an elite goal scorer in this league, Timo Meier. Like, I don't understand it, and I can't find the quote, but there was a quote from the Bolts GM basically saying that, there was a reporter that asked him about the fans' criticism towards him, and he basically said, we don't care, we know this is our window, and we're doing everything we can to make this team competitive now, which is fine, I get that, but it's about making a smart move,
yeah.
You can't. It's about making a smart move.
Yes, obviously, if the opportunity presents itself, like a Timo Meier, then you can say something like that. But for when it's a player who has the same amount of points as Jesper Boquist this season, you're not giving away your whole farm system for that. Like, the logic is so flawed. I just can't wrap my brain around. And he's basically admitting that it's this year or bust. Which, if I'm saying this year or bust for my team, Tanner Jeannot is not the person I'm bringing in to push me over the edge.
And here's the thing with that. the first round pick is in 2025. Say, Tampa, they'll probably be good by then. But say something does happen.
Yeah.
Say something does happen where they're not that good of a team, where they miss the playoffs. That's a lottery. That's a lottery pick.
Yeah.
Because
You're right.
it's 2025.
You have no idea what's going to happen by then.
Yeah.
So a lot can happen in that time.
There's
I've seen it.
There's some 15-year-old tearing up his youth league right now who's
And
going
he's
to end
gonna
up
be
who's going to end up the number 1 overall pick in 2025.
And it's going to Nashville.
Yep.
Can I tell you something too? I just looked it up. There are 0 protections on that 2025.
Oh, that's
0.
brutal.
0.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
Dude, what is this trade?
I saw.
Can we all give our grade?
F.
3, 2, 1,
1.
F.
Yo, so for
Well, we
Tampa,
gotta give it for Nashville.
But
though.
here's the thing, though.
oh,
Here's
Nashville
the-
A plus.
A+.
Here's the thing, though. We're gonna be saying this now, and it's gonna get to the first round. Tanner Janot's gonna put up.
Yeah, watch him.
Tanner Janot's like, he's winning the Conn Smythe.
Yeah,
this year.
watch him win the Conn
He's
Smythe.
winning the Conn Smythe first to hold the cup.
Can we all agree that Eli Tovanen is better than Tanner Janot?
Yeah.
He was on waivers a few weeks ago.
Okay, who would we rather have? And the only reason I'm asking this is because this player has more points this season than Tanner Janot. Would you rather have Kasperi Kapanen or Tanner Janot? Who would we rather have?
It's close. But the
Uh,
difference is one was put on waivers and the other one was traded for their entire farm system, so.
I think if I'm not mistaken, if I gotta look it up, How Jimmy Vesey has more points than Tanner Janot does this season.
All right, so let me cut to
Jimmy
one thing
Vesey
right
By a good
Jim-
margin,
Jimmy
too.
Vesey has
You can get
Jimmy
multiple
Vesey has
first-round picks at this point for him.
He has 7 more points this season than Tanner Janot, and Tanner Janot
And-
netted a first round
and
pick. Jimmy Vesey's a 4th line winger.
And Jimmy Vesey has elite defensive metrics, too, that
Yeah.
Tanner Janot does not have.
Yeah.
So let's cut into it right now. Lightning downfall, I love it. Because they're getting L of the week on top of that. You lost to the Sabres, the Pens 3-7, and the Panthers 4-1 yesterday. So this is Tampa's all across the board. I was going to give it to the Jets for losing 4 straight games and knocking themselves out of a Central Division playoff spot, but nah, this wins.
Hold on. Speaking of the Jets, they're catching Dallas, right?
Okay, I was wrong.
Remember that? They're catching Dallas, right? And hold up. How long was I saying on this show that Colorado was going
You know
to
what?
catch up?
They're only 3 points behind Dallas, so I'm going to rescind my wrong. It's still
How
gonna happen.
long have I been saying that Colorado was going to
Oh, yeah.
be right up there at the end of the season?
Oh yeah, they're there.
They're there.
Listen,
They're there.
we'll get into
They're
all
almost
of
the
that.
they're almost the top
But
team.
one more
They're almost
thing.
the top
One
team
more
in the
thing.
West.
Speaking of Tampa, before we move off this, Connor, the Alliance. We've taken them down this week.
Yes.
The Alliance has struck.
Yes. Tampa downfall. Love it more than anything. Tanner Janot, 0 points in his first game in Tampa. Not going to get over under 20 points by the end of the year.
I'm going to say 21.
Oh.
Yeah. 22.
Nah, he's not hitting it, bro. He's not going to hit it.
You know what? I'm just to be that guy. I agree with that. I just want to preface. I agree with both Daniel and Tanner's going to beat over. I'm just going to be that guy instead of the under.
Yeah, it's going to be the
I'm just going to be that guy.
AJ just loves being that guy.
I'm just going to be that guy. Why not?
Moving on here. So Toronto and Chicago strike a deal. Jake McCabe heading to the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Leafs are trying to do everything to get out of the first round this year and take on Tampa. Sam Lafferty joins him. 2 fifth-round picks head to Toronto. In Chicago, Joey Anderson, a first-round
Devils
pick.
legend.
A first-round pick in 2025, a second-round pick in 2026, and I believe Pavel Gogolev also in Chicago. What do we feel about this one now? Way more even landscape trade.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a pretty good trade. We'll have the first round matchup of
Both teams
Of-
going all in.
well,
Toronto, Tampa?
the McCabe Janot series. That's what it's going to be known as.
Yes.
They also traded for Luke Shen as well. So
Remember what
Toronto's had a
remember what I
pretty
said about the? Remember I gave that hot take about that Toronto Tampa series, that
Yeah.
upcoming one. I feel even better about it today. I think Toronto's getting them.
First time.
I
I'll
think
be here
Toronto's-
for it. I'll
I
take a
think
lightning
they're
downfall.
getting them.
I love that we finally found something we could all agree on, every single one of us. Tampa Bay's downfall.
Woo!
I'm ready.
I'll have that.
thing.
I think no matter what happens today, this is a monumental show, boys. Am I wrong?
We haven't. Yeah.
It's a milestone.
For the first time, we are united.
Yeah. See, the only thing is that this couldn't have happened last year. Plus, the Rangers might have played for this Stanley Cup. We're moving past that.
Moving past that one, it's going to be a sore subject for life.
Just be happy you made it out of the first round last year.
Yeah.
Next one on here is not even a trade, but McDavid hit 50 goals. I believe the first time in his career? Question mark?
Yeah, it is.
And he's only did it in 61 games.
Whenever I see a McDavid clip, I think of the clip last year from practice. I want to say it was Warren Fogle who said it, where McDavid bobbled the puck and lost it in a drill, and he goes, "He's human!"
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that was just, I think, the funniest thing I've ever seen, because Connor McDavid quite literally is extraterrestrial.
Yes.
Yes.
Like
full term, E.T.
All
of it.
The fact that we talk about all these players and great weeks they're having and stuff, and then Connor McDavid just doubles or triples what they're doing every single week. I think it's getting to a point where we could say we may not have seen a player in any professional sport dominate the way Connor McDavid has.
See, I'm looking at the Edmonton Oilers team leaders this year. We got plus minus is Darnell Nurse, right? 18.
Yeah.
We got Connor McDavid. He's leading in points, goals, and assists. And then we have the most important. We have Klim Kostin penalty minutes lead.
Moving on here. 50 goals for McDavid. Congratulations. But just a little small one. Y'all see the Linus Ullmark goalie goal?
Yes.
That was beautiful.
That was awesome.
We haven't had one in 3 years or so. So I love seeing him.
Igor's next.
Igor
is next. I'm shocked that hasn't happened already.
I would say Jack Edwards' call on that goal too, with the call on NESN was great.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I am not a big Jack Edwards proponent, but that was a good call.
Neither am I.
Got to give credit where it's due.
Jack Edwards is also one of the breaking the ice. What's it called? L people.
L people.
So now I just want to get into a little bit of a signing that happened just 20 minutes ago. Dylan Larkin signed an 8-year, $69.6 million contract with the Detroit Red Wings, and that wasn't their only signing of the week. I believe also on top of that one, not only did they sign him, but Jake Wallman signed a 3-year deal. So 2 solid signings here for Detroit. Thoughts, everybody?
It's a great deal.
Larkin won or Wallman won?
Larkin. Being able to get him under 9, you keep your captain. But it looks like this year for Detroit, they're finally starting to turn that corner. They're finally starting to get a bunch of guys up there. They're a point per game team again.
Yeah.
With a couple moves within the offseason, they're probably a playoff team.
I mean, they have such a this we could see this Eastern Conference this year is so wide open. We have Detroit, Washington, Detroit, and Ottawa all have the same amount of points. And then Florida, Buffalo are only 2 better than the Penguins, who have 5 more than the other. Then they have the Penguins have 69. The other teams have 64. So I think Detroit is building something here, and I think they'll be good for a couple years to come. They'll be a really good team in a couple years. So
great signing there for Detroit. Great 2 signings. So now back to trade talk.
We have breaking the news.
We got breaking the news. We're breaking the news on Breaking the Ice. You boys hit it for me. This is your time to shine.
Columbus and Vegas are having serious discussion per David Pagnotta on Jonathan Quick.
Johnny Quick just got traded as well, so we'll also get into that one.
Yep. Let's just get into it now. Why not?
Why not? The Gavrikov trade, I believe, right, boys?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Vlad Gavrikov had been, he's been in talks for a month plus. He gets traded along with Eunice Korpisalo for Johnny Quick, a first-round pick this year and a third-round pick next year. Honestly, I'm about it. Goalie for goalie. And who would you guys say is the bigger piece for L.A.? Korpisalo or Gavrikov?
Korpisalo.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, right? Gavrikov was the bigger the bigger guy to get traded, looking at it, but then, with this goaltender piece, absolutely.
Yeah. Korpisalo is a 913 on Columbus, who's, let's just say, bad, to say the least. And the Kings don't have a goalie on their active roster right now, per before last night's trade, that had over a .900 save percentage.
Poor Johnny Quick.
I do think though it's a little disrespectful for Jonathan Quick to just he
They didn't want to do it, but they had to. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But two cups there, and you just trade him away like that. I wasn't expecting it when I saw that. You know, he's not having the worst season, but he's not having the best season. They needed to make this trade. I saw that they didn't want to include him, but they had to for cap reasons.
Yeah, for cap reasons.
Which is unfortunate because, you know, he's built such a legacy there. 2 Stanley Cups. It's just a little, you know, you don't want to see it, but it has to happen.
It happens.
That's why, you know, hockey's a business.
Hockey is a business.
There were also reports that Quick himself was unhappy with the trade, so that...
I get it, yeah,
I
get it.
Yeah, because, I mean, I'm sure he'll probably get traded sometime soon, but if you went from L.A. to Columbus, Ohio, not even minus the hockey aspect of it.
Just Ohio.
If you went from Los Angeles to basically downtown L.A. where you play, and now you're playing in Columbus, Ohio, which is in the middle of nowhere, basically. All you have close is Ohio State. You know, I would be a little mad too.
Now, you got
here's what my only issue with this, right? The hockey's a business. Jonathan Quick's a grown up. He's 37. He understands that. They did it in a contract year.
They did.
This could have easily been the year he could have sat on that roster for however many games they have left, 20 to be exact. Could have sat on the roster for the last 20 games, and you know this would have been the year that he's going out. Mm-hmm. It would have been the year he's going out. He would have played his entire memorable career in Los Angeles. He would have retired a King. It would have been a Hockey Hall of Famer. Jersey's probably in the rafters.
It probably will be anyway.
It will be in the rafters anyway, but I'm saying it's a storybook ending.
Yeah.
Now, you look at the ending of Jonathan Quick, and you have a bad taste in your mouth about it.
You do.
And so it's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate and sad to see.
Trade deadline in 2 days, so all these teams scrambling, making more deals. It's not done. It's not done yet. Let's continue going through it. Carolina, Jesse Puljujarvi over to Canes. Why are you guys laughing?
Puljujarvi.
Puljujarvi?
Jesse Puljujarvi.
I wasn't sure you were supposed to pronounce the first
Bison
one or
King
not.
himself.
The Bison King.
No, you shoot and score. Then you score. Then we'll go.
Puljujarvi over to Carolina, and I believe Edmonton gets Patrick Puistola. So, 1-for-1 deal. Puljujarvi needed a new change of scenery.
This will be, in my opinion, the most underrated move of the deadline. He's going to fit really well there.
I agree.
It's the perfect fit for him. Because Carolina, how many times has Carolina has all these players. Jesperi Kotkaniemi didn't fare well. You know, he was okay with Montreal. He gets offer sheeted. Now he's there. He's basically a similar player. I mean, Puljujarvi was what? 3rd overall pick? I think?
Yeah.
Didn't really fit. Didn't really do what he had to do, and I think this will be one of the better trades of this trade deadline.
Of his deadline. One of those under-the-radar moves.
Yes.
The thing is, Puljujarvi is so good defensively, even though his offense has become non-existent, and Carolina is already such a dynamic team that's so hard to play against, and adding someone like Puljujarvi is going to be so big for them because it's just going to add another layer of, they don't need him to be scoring 30 goals a season. They just need him to be a shutdown defender who they know they could throw out against any line. And
here's the thing with Puljujarvi. He's only 24.
Yeah.
He still has time to grow. He still has time to grow into what he could be expected of. You know, he only has, I think he is the exact same stat line as the great Tanner Jeannot does this season. But, you know, he's had a pretty lengthy career already. He's played, this is his 6th season in the NHL. But yeah, I think this will be a good trade.
Yeah,
for both teams.
I don't know if you guys remember, but I actually brought this up in a previous show on Breaking the Ice where there was an article saying that he basically lost confidence in himself and didn't know if he had a future in the NHL anymore. But I think him going to a team like Carolina is a perfect way to boost that confidence because, like I said, they don't need – Edmonton was kind of banking on him being this great offensive player whereas Carolina doesn't need that as much. So there's not as much pressure on him. He could just go out and do his thing, and I think that's going to completely revamp his career, just like Tanner said how Kakaniemi was not very good on Montreal, and then he becomes pretty serviceable and pretty good on Carolina.
Moving on here now, after that 1-for-1 trade, Washington and Toronto. Rasmus Sandin, or is it Sandin? Probably Sandin, right?
Sandin.
Traded over to the Caps, and Toronto receives back Eric Gustafsson and a first-round pick in this year's draft. Boys.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it for Washington. Other than the PRV deal, I think this is another one of those deals that are going to look back in 2-3 years and be like, how did he only go for Gustafsson in a first? We're gonna look at it like that. Washington pretty much took that first, like I said earlier in the show, they took that first that they acquired for Dmitry Orlov,
and they
flipped it into a Sandin. And worst case scenario, right? Which I personally think Sandin's a better player than Orlov right now. I'm not saying Orlov's not worth it for Boston, but worst case scenario, let's say Rasmus Sandin stays where he is right now through his career, right? Let's say as like a third, second pair. Isn't that just what Orlov was?
Yeah.
And you pretty much took that first, and what you did with that first round pick, because I got a stat fed to me the other day. Once you get to pick 24 and back in the NHL draft, those players only have a 2.5% chance of playing 100 or more games in the league. So what you did is you essentially turned that pick, which is going to be you turned that 2.5% chance into a 9-year age improvement.
Yeah.
At a much higher upside.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable value. Great job by Washington.
I agree. AJ hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, I think it's similar. They're able to get assets for the veteran player that gets traded, but then they flip it for a younger player. It's not similar to what Calgary did this year, but it's
because Calgary did it backwards.
But Calgary, traded
That's what
for
Florida did.
But Calgary, they got rid of some of their top players, and they still
are bad.
They still are bad, but they were able to get some of them back. It hasn't worked out, of course. Huberdeau has been one of the worst players in the league this year.
Bill Zito is a smart man, all right?
Common Bill Zito fleece.
Like when we talk about allocating resources and we talk about using them in the right way, this is what we mean. This is exactly what we mean by that, and this is what smart organizations do. It's weird that we're saying about that the Washington Capitals.
Listen, they won a cup just 4 or 5
years.
They
did, but I could go back move after move after move to where they weren't able to maximize Ovi's potential. Ovi should have won multiple cups in Washington. But
I hear you.
But this is one of those moves when we talk about retooling and we talk about getting younger faster and getting high upside talent. When we move that 2.5% chance reroll into a proven player that you know is going to produce, and you know at worst he's going to be a second pairing D-man with the opportunity to play on your number 2 with a number 2 power play, and probably he's going to play on with once John Carlson goes, he's probably going to be the number 1 power play defenseman.
Yeah.
That getting that for a late first round pick in today's NHL is a fleece.
Yeah,
it's a fleece, and it's amazing.
Yeah, definitely a better return than Tanner Jeannot for your first.
One more thing here for Washington. On top of this trade, they signed Nick Jensen, who has 24 points on the year, to a 3-year contract. I believe it's a 3-year, $2 million deal, as in $2 million per year. So how do you guys feel about this one?
Yeah,
actually, it's worth $4 million per year. My mistake.
Wow.
Oh,
because
okay.
it's $2 million, and then the signing bonus or cap hit. It's a 3-year, $4.05 million per season. Nick Jensen.
Yeah, I mean, it's not horrible, but it's not. I wouldn't call it a good deal either. For now, I'm gonna say slight overpay. It could end up paying off for them, but that's not something I'm super high on as of right now.
Yeah, this is something that I missed, in all of the
stuff,
everything yesterday.
Yeah, get into the rest of the stuff too.
But I think he's a pretty solid player. Looking at the advanced, he's been pretty good this year. But he is age 32, so they're paying him probably for the rest of his career.
Yeah,
So-
as long as he's able to keep up that defensive ability, that contract will be fine. But we've seen at times when players hit the tail end of their career, they kind of spiral down with the defense. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a risk. It could have a good reward, so we'll see.
Next one here, Toronto, another little trade. Luke Shen for a third rounder from the Canucks. Simple as it gets.
I think this is a good deal. I mean, Toronto, you could tell they're going for it this year.
Oh yeah,
They want
they want a playoff series.
They
victory.
want a playoff series victory. They're basically prepping for Tampa Bay. That's all they're doing. They're not prepping for the playoffs. They're not prepping for any team they can play. They're prepping for Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay, you need to shut down. They have an elite offense on all four lines. So you need to be able to elite offense minus Tanner Janot. Actually, no, I'm gonna be. Oh,
You're gonna think he's gonna turn it up?
Yeah.
You guys
Tanner
have the
Janot
same name, so
shares the name as me. You know what? I said Tanner Janot, Conn Smythe. I'm sticking with it. Yeah.
We're gonna never forget that one. Now.
You know what
we're
this
gonna say it every week just to remind.
You know what this deadline did? What they're going for Toronto?
What?
Kyle Dubas, their GM, who's on the hot seat right now in Toronto because because he's built this roster, but this roster has been able to get over the hump.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they were to lose to Tampa in the first round, I think he's done enough this deadline.
He
save
has.
his job.
He
He's done
has.
enough. I think he's saved. I think
And-
this week he saved his job no matter what.
And I think, the only reason why Toronto isn't, leading the East
Is because
Boston
exists.
is just that good. If you take away Boston, Toronto's been the best team in the East this year points wise. So it's kind of not really fair to compare anyone to Boston. It's not.
I understand that.
It's not really fair.
It's
So,
understandable.
but Toronto's just getting prepared to play Tampa in the first round. They've been they're the second best team points wise in the league, and I think you have to consider that when talking about playoff series and talking about going into the playoffs. They've been the second best team in hockey this year, so they got even better, I would say.
Got even better. Next trade here. Western Conference side, Edmonton, Nashville. Matthias Ekholm headed to the Oilers with a 6th-round pick. Nashville in return gets Tyson Barrie, Reed Schaefer, a first this year, and a 4th-round pick next year. I feel like good return for Nashville, honestly.
Yeah,
Like Ekholm's an older guy, and you get a first, 4th, and some players.
you get Tyson Barrie, who's been 43 points in the season for a defenseman. I know he had.
That's good, man.
I remember talking about on the Rangers broadcast how he hasn't scored. Of course, the Rangers broadcast jinx where they say he hasn't scored in his last 10 games, and the guy scores right there. That happened with Tyson Barrie. But a 43-point defenseman is not too common to find. It's not too common to find in a trade where he's going back to the team that is selling. It's not too easy to find that, but similar to Sandin and the Capitals, yes, they're trading a good player, but they're getting good players back, and I think a lot more teams are going to take that approach because they realize that Matthias Ekholm fits the Oilers now. He's a veteran defenseman. He's played in the playoffs multiple times before. That's what they need. I think it's just a perfect fit for both teams here.
Perfect fit for both teams. You got something, AJ?
I completely agree with you. I think you hit it on the nail in the coffin.
Next trade, a little bit of a minor one here. Gustav Nyquist headed to Minnesota for a 5th for Columbus. A little bit of a minor trade there. I think this is just Minnesota trying to make one little move to just kind of bolster their bottom 6.
I mean, for a 5th, that's good value.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Not much to say
Pretty good
about
value.
it.
Cool. But the big trade here for Tanner, his very own New York Rangers traded for Tarasenko last week. So what do? They go out and they get themselves a former MVP. Patrick Kane is headed to the New York Rangers. Patrick Kane, Cooper Zek. Now, Tanner, give me the names of the players that Chicago got in this deal.
I haven't
you know
heard
what I
of them
mean?
before.
What?
I haven't heard of them before.
All right. You haven't heard of either of them?
No.
Andy Walensky.
Sorry.
That's good, man. Andy Walensky for sure. And Vili Sarajarvi. Let's go with that, man. 2nd-round pick this year and a 4th. So 2 defensemen Tanner's never heard of.
Yep.
A 2nd-rounder this year, a 4th next year for Patrick Kane and Cooper Zek. What are your thoughts?
I think this was the move that had to be made. They got Tarasenko, and I was a little bit like, that's a good trade, but it's a big one, but it's not something that could make an impact. It's not really something that I think could lead to, that could really, really help them. It didn't complete the team, but I think this trade for Kane, he's not what he once was. He's not. Because if he was what he once was, Cooper Zek or any of the defensemen you said, Cooper Zek traded the Rangers, any of the defensemen you said would not even be thought of this deal. There would be some pretty good NHL players in this deal. But, he has the playoff experience. 3 Stanley Cups. He has, and basically made the playoffs every other year besides that. I just think this is the trade. This was the trade that they had to make. This trade has been talked about. Patrick Kane going to the Rangers since the start of the season. It's been talked about, and I think it's just it feels Tarasenko felt good, but this one just feels different.
Even better.
It just feels different. It's such. He's not what he once was, and everyone's gonna have to accept that. But it's doing something that the Rangers have not done since they haven't done, which is they have now an established top 6. All six guys could play elite hockey when necessary. They have, the first line will probably be Kreider, Zibanejad, Tarasenko. Second line is Panarin, Trocheck, and Kane. All of these guys have played in the playoffs before.
Yeah.
Know how to win in the playoffs. I mean, Tarasenko and Kane, the only players to win a Stanley Cup, but they've played in the playoffs before. They know what it takes. They have a not young, but they have an elite top 6. And then their third line is the kids line, Hedel, Lafreniere, and Kakko, who have all played great this year, and they've established all their forwards. All of their forwards are established this year, which they have not. They didn't do it last year, but they've done it. They've done it this year. They have 12 guys that will play every game, hopefully, barring injury. But they have 12 guys that will play every game, and they have that set. That's something that they haven't had in a while, and I'm really excited to see. They have now just established 12 guys that will play, hopefully, in all the playoff games. Hopefully, will make a deep run. This is a really good trade because they didn't give up anything.
They didn't give up anything major.
Kane basically forced his way here. Yeah, he doesn't have the defensive metrics, but that's why they have, Trocheck on that line. He might play, he's always been able to get gritty and physical as he does. But yeah, there's a lot that I could say, but
there's a lot you could say for sure.
I think the question is whether Kane will hurt the Rangers more than he'll help them, because we don't know if he's never played great defense ever. Mm-hmm. But this year he's taken it to such a completely different level. Mm-hmm. According to the Athletics Player Mile, he's in the 0th percentile of defense. So he is literally the worst forward in the entire NHL
at defense.
Defensively. And his offense has taken a step back. It is a good move for you guys because you didn't give up anything.
Yeah.
Kane did force his way there, which I think was kind of a slap in the face to Blackhawks fans. That's my opinion. But regardless, he forced his way there. The Rangers didn't have to give up a lot for him. So it could either be really good, it's definitely possible that he was kind of coasting with Chicago and he takes it to a different level with New York because we know he wants to be there. But there's also the alternative where his defense, because defense has been an issue for the Rangers as of late.
Yeah, it has been.
And there's the other alternative where it could hurt them because he's not playing any defense and his offense isn't making up for it. Kind of like the stretch us Devils fans saw with Dougie Hamilton. He's been a lot better lately, but there was a 3-week stretch where he just played no defense. And even though he was getting 1 to 2 points a game, he was leading directly to 2 to 3 goals for the other team. So it didn't even mean anything. So it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out because I've always been a Patrick Kane fan personally. Obviously, I can't be now because he's a Ranger, but it'll be very interesting because he's definitely an interesting case here.
The thing is, this is all just leading to a Devils Rangers first round. It's going to be, two teams with really good players, and I can't wait for that series to happen. Unless the Devils overtake Carolina, which could happen, but I would rather play the Devils, I guess. I don't know.
This isn't even a slight at the Devils. I just think Carolina's too good for us to overtake them right now. I don't even think that, that's not putting the Devils down at all because they've been really, 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 they've been elite this season. But Carolina's just on such a different level, and they're so complete that even if we're winning most of our games, I think Carolina's going to be winning that same amount or more, and they have the lead right now. So I think we could play at their level. I don't think we could play above their level. So that's why Carolina's going to take first, which means Devils Rangers round 1. It's just a matter of who gets the home ice advantage, and that's really, really, really scary to me.
Yeah.
All right, boys. One more trade here before we wrap up trade talks. I believe it was Colorado trying to go get another forward, Lars Eller, headed to the Colorado Avalanche for, I believe, just like a third-round pick, second-round pick. Let's see the trade right here. Lars Eller headed to Colorado for a second-round pick in 2025 from Washington. Washington selling yet again. Colorado goes and gets another forward. How are we feeling about this now? They get another player. AJ thinks they're going to the Cup regardless, but now they're just going to the Cup even more.
Well, yeah, they're the best team in the West right now. Currently,
They won
right now,
6 in a row.
Currently, right now, they're the best team in the West, and they don't have Cale Makar, who's arguably the best defenseman in the league. They have Gabriel Landeskog, who is a top 6 winger, and their number 2 center is right now what they call Lars Eller, JT Comfort. They're doing it without a number 2 center right now, and they were doing it as well, wobbling with injuries to guys like Nathan McKinnon as well earlier in the year. And right now, as it stands, they have games in hand, and they are 3 points behind the number 1 seed in the West, which they are going to get.
Yeah.
And then when they get that, and the playoffs runs through Ball Arena, and they get healthy, and watch this happen. Don't be shocked if the Colorado Avalanche throw Gabriel Landeskog on LTIR till the playoffs, and they go make a move.
Though the NHL did say they're going to be very closely watching LTIR. I'm just saying that.
I don't think.
Don't shoot the messenger here.
I think if Colorado makes a move, I don't think the NHL is going to come at them. I think they'd come at some organizations, but I don't think it would be the Avs. Because
the only team I would think would be the Lightning because they've done it so many times.
The teams I would see the NHL coming at are teams that with low rating, are teams that fans just don't want to watch. I'm sorry, it sounds unfair, but it is what it is. Fans want to watch the Avalanche. Why? Because they're fast, because they're talented, and they're the best team in the West.
Yeah.
So if they add to that team. And they also play in Denver. I don't think they do it to any of the Canada teams. I don't think they do it to the Devils. I don't think they do it to the Rangers. I don't think they do it to Pittsburgh.
I also think, but it could be
Boston.
If teams keep doing this, they could make a rule change about it.
I mean, but you got to revisit that in the offseason.
Yeah.
Teams have been doing this for years. You can't just say, "Oh, we're cracking down on this a week before the deadline."
But I think they will look at
teams plan out their entire seasons about these players that they've thrown on LTIR to go get value out of. And they've been doing it for years, and the NHL hasn't done anything. So teams and general managers and front offices, they lay out all these plans and stuff, have all these calls, and then a week before the deadline, they're like, "Oh, can't do this anymore."
Yeah, we saw the last week with Patrick Kane has been one of the most insane things I've ever seen in my life.
Patrick Kane was literally at home for 2.5 weeks.
Braden Schneider getting sent down, and he's brought back up, and they're playing with 4 defensemen, and it was I've never seen anything like that before, because it was kind of like Bruce Boot.
Aren't the Rangers going 16-4 tonight?
I'm not sure.
Because of the Kane deal, because Lindgren's hurt, they sent Schneider down to big cap room.
And Miller's suspended.
Yeah, I think they're going 16. That's wild. But then again, that's how the NHL is. You got
And they dressed Schneider. They dressed Schneider and Ryan Carpenter for the game against Los Angeles. Schneider just sat on the bench. They literally just needed to have a body on the bench. That's all they needed to do. He didn't play a single shift.
It's funny.
Carpenter served the 5-minute major, and that was it. It was nuts. I've never seen that before, and of course they won that game.
And of course they won that game.
Yeah.
So one more story I want to get into here. Not a trade deadline move here, but the Predators. So their GM, I believe his name is David Poyle, he's retiring at the end of the season. He's 73 years old right now, 26 years as the Predators GM. I believe he is the only GM in Predators history as of right now, and he's retiring after the season. And Barry Trotz is taking over as the Preds GM at the end of this season. How do we feel about this one?
I think just the fact alone that Barry Trotz is taking over, like that one came out of left field. I don't think any of us were expecting that.
I was expecting a coaching job, not a GM hire. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Where is Nashville in the standings right now?
All right, so the Predators got nothing to do right now. So they're like
They're
fifth.
I would say they're 8 points out of the playoffs.
They're
and
fifth
they have
in the
three,
Central.
I would say they're 8 points out of the playoffs with 3 games in hand on Winnipeg.
Yeah.
No, they're not making it, and they're selling.
No shot.
They're not making it.
Yeah, they traded Amoia. That's true.
They're not making it.
No, yeah, they're not making it this season. No chance.
But it's interesting to see Barry Trotz in a GM role.
I would say he's a great hockey mind. He knows what he's doing. But you see these former coaches and stuff, and you see these former players that they'll get thrown in these roles, and they're not ready. I don't think that's going to happen to Barry Trotz. I think he's too smart.
Yeah.
But it's something to watch, and I don't think we should be saying, "Oh, this is his home run hire."